Welcome to Dr. Mix. Today I'm going to explain how I recreate famous songs. What are the techniques that I use, the tricks that I use, the instruments that I use. Of course, I'm going to talk about the SWAM engine, which is what I use to do the horns and the strings. Let's get started. First things first, the drums. Now, the drums obviously are the core of the rhythm, and I like drums and I like to really understand what's going on. So whenever they are available, I look for multi-tracks of the original song. If you go on YouTube and you go like isolated vocals of the Beatles, you will get a lot of stuff. And sometimes you're able to find individual parts of famous songs, but when I don't, then I have another option, which is to use RX8 to isolate the drums, the bass, the vocals, and other elements. That is what I have done as part of the pre-production of the song. So here I have isolated just the rhythm. It's not 100% isolated, but you can get a better sense of what happens with the drums. Yes, I use RX8. I will leave a link in the description where I talk about it extensively. It's a program from Isotope. It's a brilliant piece of software. That's what I use to isolate the drums sometimes. So the first thing that struck me when I listened to this is that my suspicion is confirmed. There are two drummers on this track, one on the left channel, one on the right channel. Yes, I always felt that. I mean, I know the song really well. I've listened to it a million times and I already figured out, most of it. But on this occasion where I could isolate the drums, I could really see what my intuition was telling me. There are more than one drummer. If you listen, if you pay attention, you see, pat, pat, see that bit? Ta, ta. It only happens to the left channel. That's because they are playing this stuff most of the times in unison, but not all the time. For example, this first fill is at unison. Yeah, they clearly rehearsed it. As it goes on, it becomes a little bit looser. But what really struck me is how much swing there is into this. Check out. Boom, boom. Yeah, you get it? So it's really soulful. It's really funky. You may be tempted of saying, this is like super straight. And it is, but those drummers are really putting some swing into it, right? It's not cuckoo, it's like right? I looked for a sound that could sort of embody that feeling. I didn't want to play two different set of drums because it would have been just too complicated. And I thought, just a good drum sound will do if it has the right feeling. So for the sound, I've used Abbey Road 70s drummer from Native Instruments. This is one of my favorite drums. And in this case, you have that sort of disco vibe, right? Right? That's all I needed to do. And because, of course, I wanted to take the actual take on camera, then I had to prepare first and then, sort of memorize all the most important appointments during the song. And then I played it. There are also some congas, if you listen again, in the original take. Yeah, you hear that? On the left side. So I thought of just putting in there some kind of decent conga pattern that would fit. And I found this. You know, it's a bit repetitive because of course it's a loop. I think I change it here. You know, I give it a little bit of vibe. You know what, let me try and play along with it. So I'm gonna do this, like that, yes. And then I'm gonna go solo, solo. That's it. That's, you know, I recreate more of the spirit. The very first drum break, I imitated like, you know, verbatim. This break here. That one. I did it exactly like it. In fact, it sounds like this. It's out of sync because the original one I haven't quantized. So, yeah. And that's another trick that I use, you know, unless I'm doing like Michael Jackson's Thriller, then I'm really going for the minute details and, you know, go for each note to be exactly the same. But on this occasion, because I like the song so much and it, you know, lends itself to improvisation and to say your own thing, then I only imitated it verbatim up until a certain point. And then all of the fills that I've done is just, you know, improvisation. So yeah, drums, 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 drums. Next, bass. For the bass, I use my trusty Fender Jazz. I love my Fender Jazz. It's nothing special really. I mean, it's a good Fender Jazz. It's a 1994 or 1997, made in Japan. I didn't change the strings because, you know, the sound is a little bit funky, a little bit like that. So I didn't need like a brand new string type of sound. Yeah, the line is pretty simple because it goes. I really always like that bass thing that happens. Also because naturally for the scale that we're in, this is what you should really use if you were thinking about the scale and the logic of it, but the bass player, instead of going with the minor 9, goes with the natural 9. No? So, right? So that's something that I really like about this bass line. It's a little bit unpredictable sometimes. So this one I recorded as well, mostly straight in the camera. And I made some, you know, I think I did 2 takes and then I took the best of it and I did the same with the images. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I love bass. I'm not a super good bass player, but, you know, good enough that I can do a straight take and, you know, put some nice things into it if I can. And then when I cannot, I just edit it a little bit. Next, trumpet. Let's talk about the trumpet. Of course, this is the featured instrument in the song. It begins like that. Of course, I've used the SWAM engine by audio modeling. I am beta testing the iPad version, the iOS version, which is super fun and it sounds incredible. Here you got your expression control. And in this mode, you can even control the glissando. Down 1 octave. In the takes, I have used a lot of sforzando, which is this effect here. When a note starts hard, goes soft, and then slowly goes back to hard. This is something that I use to make the horns a little bit more alive. This model instrument is just incredible. It's so human. It's really hard to tell sometimes, you know? And I use a few tricks to make it sound even more real as a section. Here's what I recorded. And yes, I recorded it audio. I didn't record it MIDI. I use pretty much 3 parts. You can see it here when I divide them. The parts are divided 2, 2, and 2. So basically, I double track each part. But when I double track it, I use this little trick. Trumpet number 1, right? Trumpet number 2 sounds a little bit different in pitch. It's slightly lower. So when I put them together, you see they do that chorus sound. Now, the SWAM engine, which is brilliant, pretty much already makes a very natural sound. So all the idiosyncrasies of the instrument and the pitch, the instrument actually imitates. But I go one step forward because on the settings, each time I do a take, I change the pitch slightly. So let me show you where I do that. You go in pitch mode. Here you got 0 cents, or you can go like 4 cents above. Right now we are at 441.2 hertz. And then the second take, when I double track the sound, then I go on -4, -3. So basically, I am imitating that attitude that one player might have differently from the next. You know, some players go naturally just a little bit above the pitch. I don't know, like Dexter Gordon on saxophone. He used that sort of, you know, sharp edge of the pitch quite a lot for his expression. And some other players like to do it differently, or maybe that day that trumpet player had, you know, a colder instrument than usual. He's slightly on top of the pitch for the whole take. By doing that, I imitate those mistakes and I make it more real. In the end, this is how it sounds. Or right? Oh, that was that sforzando that I was talking about. See, I can use a lot of dynamics, which I like a lot. In fact, I used, to better control the dynamics, where did I put it? Where did I put it? There you go. This is the tech control breath controller. So by blowing into this mouthpiece, I can decide the amount of expression, basically this control. In fact, you can use all kinds of peripherals here on an iPad nowadays. So you can connect the tech control to the iPad, and it's great. I'm not sure that this thing is out yet because I am beta testing it, but maybe by the time I release this video, it will be available already. Just check the link in the description and you will know more about it. That brings us to the trombone, which is pretty much more of the same. So the trombone here in the initial part does this. Ba, ba. You see, this is the bass trombone. Yeah, and I double that up with the tenor trombone. Yeah, let's listen to the whole section. This section is still, I think, 3 voices. I'm using the bass trombone to the left, and I'm using the tenor trombone to the right. So, you know, I like to just spread the horns across the stereo panorama so that you get a nice and full sound. I think the trumpet, I scatter them around, and the bass trombone, the trombones, I just put literally on the sides so that you get a nice full sound all together. Check out. You know what? I want to talk about that. Just let me go to my Rhodes for just 1 second. This is when you get great composers such as Bill Conti. These people really know how to compose. Really know how to compose. Right? So basically this is designed to be played by 2 horns at the same time, because one is going and the second goes. All right? And together they go. You know, melodically speaking, this is really, really clever. And here I have to talk about the harmony a little bit. This is a very well designed piece of melody and arrangement, because when it gets to that part, you want to go here, and he delays that throughout the entire song, because it goes sustain, sustain, and again he's not landing on the home chord, which would be A minor, right? He teases you constantly. He never resolves that harmonic tension right up until the end. I think I resolved the tension once during the song. I mean, the sus, I resolve it, but in the original song that never happens. Let me show you. Let me show you. Listen, if I'm going too deep, just let me know, yeah? Oh, but if you do like this content, you should definitely hit that subscribe button. Yes. You should hit that bell button. Yes. And you're good to go. All right. So yeah, check out. Because he's teasing you. You know, he's creating tension, 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 and never resolves it. Let's listen to the full arrangement. D, sus, sus. No resolution. And he's winding you up again. He does it all the time. He will only really resolve at the end. Sus, sus, sus. Now he finally resolves. He only does it at the end. Very, very clever, Mr. Bill Conti. Good compositions. When I break down a song, yes, I go granular and I try to find the detail to be precise, but also I'm driven by the spirit of it. I try to capture the intentions, you know? So if it's clear to me that harmonically and melodically he's creating a certain tension, then it's easier for me to recreate the orchestration in a manner that fits that sentiment, so that I can recreate the sentiment. Because again, I didn't play everything verbatim, but you still feel that it is exactly that song. That's something that I care a lot about. Next, strings. For the strings, I actually played this MIDI. By the way, I'm gonna leave another link in the description, because you can actually get all of the separate tracks that I have created, also the mix and everything else. Unfortunately, the MIDI I cannot sell because I would need a different license that I don't have. You know, it's a bit complicated. But anyway, you can get the audio of this and play with it. It's a lot of fun. I will leave a link in the description if you're interested in that. Otherwise, for the violin, I have used, again, the SWAM engine violin, 2 instances of them, and the SWAM engine viola. That's right. So they sound a little bit like this. It's very believable, isn't it? Let's go violin 2. So awesome. Man, a good melody is a good melody. You can't beat... Oh, I've even used cello, I think. Oh yeah, I've used cello. Look at that. The SWAM cello. Right? And then I have used some other strings. See these ones? What have I used here? Okay, Session Strings Pro. Sections 1 and 2, Ensemble Performance. So I have the violins doing the top note here, probably. Let's isolate just the strings. Yeah. And I'm also doubling up that melody with another instance of Session Strings Pro. And it's section 1 and 2 violins production. Yeah. Let's check this part. Yeah. Yeah, that cluster. Look at that. Yeah. Sus, 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 sus forever. And resolution, finally. Next, the keyboard solo. We all know that famous guitar solo that happens in this tune, and I'm not that good of a guitar player to sustain a solo of that magnitude. Instead, I have used the Minimoog, which is the only instrument which will give a guitar player a run for his money. Yeah. Etc, etc, etc. Let's see if I can reproduce that sound for you. Okay, so if I remember correctly, I have used sawtooth and I've used another sawtooth 1 octave below. And just, just sustain there. Oh, hello, Minimoog. Yeah, I remember it did the same thing during the takes and I had to do a couple of them. But yeah, that's how I've done the sound. When you have to compete against a guitar, all you gotta do is like sawtooth, open all the filter, 2 octaves, and just go for it. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's very cool. I think that's pretty much it. Oh no, hey, I forgot. Okay, firstly, I have this extra sound. There you go. This is the hop, which happens right here. You know, that thing. And also, I have used that woo sound from the Minimoog again. Oh yeah, now I remember. That thing happens on more than 3 octaves, like 4 octaves. The Minimoog only has like a few keys, you know. So I needed a bigger range to do that glissando thing, so I did it in 2 takes. This is the beginning, and this is the end, right? Probably they have used something like a Prophet, but at the time I didn't have the Prophet, so in order to do that trick, I had to divide the lower part of that glissando and you know, add it. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I've done. Next, the choir, which I have done with the VP 550. Let me play it for you, just quickly. That's it. That's all I've done. Multiple times using multiple sounds. Like this sound is called pop, and it's pretty flat. And this one is called gospel. See, it's a lot richer. Basically, I've built up a little arrangement with different combinations of vocoder, right? Solo.
Getting strong now, won't be long now.
So you see, up here I have used the pop preset, and I think down here I've used the, yeah. This is the gospel. So yeah, I mean, I've just layered this thing a lot, you know, to get a big choir sound, especially here at the end. Right? Next and last, the piano. I have used the Grandeur. This is a piano that I like to use quite often because it's pretty realistic. You know, and when you hit it, it really comes through. It's a good piano for recording. It's not maybe the best of the best, but it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. And this also I've played in 1 take, but this I recorded MIDI because I wanted the option to correct mistakes if I did. I think it was pretty okay. I didn't do many mistakes on this one, probably a couple. See, I didn't even quantize it too much, because, I mean, you know, truth to be told, I like the sound of quantized, but I don't like the sound of over quantized. So probably when I play the drums, I use maybe a 50% quantize, and when I play other instruments, maybe I use, you know, 20%. Sometimes it just feels just great and I don't touch it. Like, for example, the bass here, I hardly touched at all. Piano, maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive about that, so maybe I put a little bit more care there. But, you know, it's your call. I tend to quantize just enough that it doesn't sound sloppy. There you go. But then, you know, if you're working with, you know, EDM, then you really want all those transients together. If you're working with jazz or Latin music, sometimes the micro variations in the feel are what makes that song special. Beautiful chord there. how the cookie crumbles at Dr. Mix today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there is any reconstruction that you want me to make, well, please let me know in the comments. Also, please let me know if you like this sort of longer explanation videos. I really appreciate if you let me know so that I can make you happier in life. In any case, I hope you're staying super safe, that you are being happy, making lots of music, and keeping on loving each other. Dr. Mix. And this is the next video you want to watch.